much stuff floating around. I don't know. People trying to say they wasn't together.
Basically was trying to get into a threesome.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of K and Manny. I'm the one they call Manny. She is the lady of all K's. And today's episode is sponsored by...
And today's episode is sponsored by Lady K Enterprises. We are a financial service firm where we can help you with everything, with helping you set up your business to all the way to helping you hiring a team and expanding so you can be your full sufficient self within your business. So today, guys, we are going to be talking about checking on your
strong friend. Yes. You all know that strong friend that you always call at any times of the day, asking for advice, asking for guidance, being a voice of reason, and, sometimes cry on their shoulder.
Right. But today...
inadvertently, but you do that. But today we are going to actually talk about that person that you call on in any given moment, because not a lot of times we don't check on that person. We don't.
But to make this show even more special, it's not just checking on any friend, it's checking on that strong Black male friend. There are a lot of men out there that, us women, sometimes we can be the shoulder that we can go on so we can cry to them, and they will allow us and let us do that because they was taught, to be there for us. But then we got to ask who's there for them. And a lot of times, we hear the terminology, oh, be a man's peace, right? Of course, the person got to be at peace with themselves, but peace is also too when they can come to you and open up and pour out their heart and not be judged. But let's be real, like Manny, do you personally have a female friend that you can call on, and when you need to cry on her shoulder, do you feel like she's a safe place that you can vent this information to?
I mean, I have a couple of friends.
Females.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple of female friends. There you go. However, I've learned because at times I do talk to them about certain issues that I may not be aware of or I may not be oblivious to. But then one time I have to also check myself. It's like, okay, am I going this person too often? Because sometimes what happens is they can carry on that personality that I would either bring to the table or somebody would bring to that table. But for me, I do have a couple of friends that I can talk to when it comes to certain things. And sometimes I try to look at another perspective of, say, like my elders.
Okay, but the main thing is, it's good to have the elders, family, that's given. But I just wanted to make sure that you have that friend, because I think those are imperative, because, we speak to our friends and family at different levels. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, depending on who are we close with, we might feel more confident in certain people so we can talk about certain things. To me, I'm going to be honest with you. It is a privilege, and I don't take this lightly. The privilege to me when one of my male friends come to me and just be vulnerable in front of me and just, ask me like, hey, what should I do? Mm-hmm. I don't take that lightly, because I know you guys carry the weight on your shoulders, the world on your shoulders. And I know at times it can be very heavy, because you guys are taught to man up, be a man, whatever the fuck that means, So I just think it's important that, when they can come and they can open up, and, you just have to know how to speak to them. So I do want to give some advice today when they do come to you, and how you should have a sound clear mind and just try to look at things from different perspectives. Because one thing about us females, sometimes we might tend to get stuck on that one area, and you have to look at it all around. But what about that person's perspective? Are you truly listening to them, because they want to make sure that you're listening to them, that you hear them, and then you give the ability to, speak it to. Sometimes, and I have to say this too, and I'm sure, Manny, you can attest to this, sometimes when they are venting, sometimes they just need you just to listen and not say a peep. Sometimes they might need a hug, you know what I'm trying to say? But those moments are very pivotal.
Right. It's very prevalent because there are times where people will vent and they don't want your opinion. They just want to get whatever there is out. So I definitely understand when people sometimes say, because when I listen with silence. I don't listen with the intent to respond. I listen to understand what they're saying. And sometimes they're just venting, and then you can kind of listen to the key points of what they're saying because they're going on and on and on and on and on. However, I always look at it as, don't just try to respond to somebody else's problems, because sometimes they just want you to listen. Don't just be like, what about, I was just, you know what I'm saying? Because people don't shut up and listen.
Right.
That's all you got to do. Just shut up and listen.
And I have to piggyback off of it.
Take that aspect out of it.
Right. I want to piggyback for it. Sometimes, like you saying, Manny, it's good to be silent, because sometimes we can say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and then that can rub the person the wrong way. And you didn't mean it. You were just trying to find, something nice to say, and you just never win sometimes. But in those situations, even if it comes to that and they get annoyed, you have to understand, do not take it personal. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything how they feel at that moment in their situation. So that's why sometimes, you just let them be. And even if you feel like you didn't make a mistake, this is how you can become a better person. I'm sorry I rubbed you the wrong way. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to provide you comfort. I'm sorry. And I feel sometimes people have a hard time saying that, especially in this area when the men need us. We have to learn how to press those little things aside and just be there for him. He just needs to know that, you have my back. And if Manny, if I'm correct, would you say that's one of the main things that most men is looking for, is just to know that you truly have their back?
Absolutely. And guys go through it as well. Guys, when we vent, even though we may not do it often, but when we vent, we just want you to listen.
Right.
That's it. That's all we ask for. That's all we ask is to listen, because sometimes in females, I'm calling y'all out, not Kay, me, this is Manny talking. When we vent to y'all really want to, how can I say this? Respond in a way where if we're trying to explain a situation, y'all want to cut in and just get your thoughts out right then and there. Listen, I understand that you want to get your thoughts out, and that's truly understandable. But you got to pick your spots. When even if he doesn't ask you, what do you think about that? Or if you say something. Now, you can just chime in or maybe ad lib or co-sign. That's fine and all. But don't try to just interject and cut that person off, because all that's going to do is just make him shut down and not come to you again.
You're right about that. The shutdown part, and that's what we don't want. So again, today, we're just giving the avenue of letting you know what support looks like to that strong male friend, things how we can just be careful with our tongues. And then, like you said, Manny, give the opportunity for you guys to be heard, and and just take it from there and flow from there. So now I kind of want to shift gears a little bit, because I understand we can't save everybody, but I'm just here to tell you that mental health is so imperative. And I had a conversation with someone recently, and he is military. He has a military background, and he told me one day, he said, I forgot where he was at. I can't remember. But a lady said something to him out the blue. Like she just came out her mouth and she triggered him and he said, Kalima, he said when she came out her mouth, he said it triggered me and it made me think about, back when I was in, the military and how we were trained to do certain stuff. He said, I almost lost it. He said, but I had to stop myself. And he said, and then later on when he looked her up and see who she was a mother. So he said, yo, she's a mother of two. He said, I could have hurt her, but she's a mother. And that's when he kept saying he's a mother. She's a mother. So I knew right then and there he had compassion, but at the same time too, the battle of, certain things that trigger. So I said to him, I said, hey, are you in therapy? And of course he was like, oh, nothing consistent. Listen, I have to say this, men, especially my Black men, there is nothing wrong with going to therapy. Matter of fact, I have a close male friend. And as I was hearing him say certain things to me, I say to him, listen, I think it's important for you to go to therapy. And I kept following up with him. He said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I'll follow up with him. Hey, did you make that appointment yet? Not yet. Did you make that appointment yet? Yes, I finally made it. And sometimes that's what they need, ladies, because sometimes, yes, it's good to be that shoulder, but at the same time, too, other things require experts. And I think we should leave it to the expert. And that's why we should encourage the men to go and seek, because I think it's imperative. So, Manny, how would you feel if if you had a situation going on, right? And your female friend says to you, hey, I think you should seek therapy. How does that make you feel?
I mean, I'll put it to you in two stages. A few years ago, I will look at you up and down and say, what are you talking about? People who are nuts or people who are crazy or people who are about to do something to themselves go to therapy. But then as I learned that we as Black men need to consider that a little bit more better or look at it a little bit more differently, yeah, we may need to go, because let's be real. We go through a lot of drama just by walking out the door alone, okay? Because
The
a lot of
moment you
times,
step foot out the door.
the moment you step foot out the door, you're asked to survive. You're asked to survive, you're asked to provide, you're asked to cope. And the issues are you're doing certain things to yourself to make sure you don't take it there. Because trust me, men, if the climate is correct, we will take it there. What I mean by take it there is to choose violence. I'm not saying you should do that. Let me make that clear. I'm saying when you step out the door and you constantly have to deal with certain aspects of life, especially as a Black man,
yes,
you need to find a way to release that tension, because eventually it's going to powder keg into something worse, and your loved ones could be a casualty of it. And I'm speaking for myself, because a lot of times when we go to therapy, you unlock a lot of things that you never thought was the problem.
right.
And I'll say it for myself. I was in therapy, and not too long ago, I unlocked something that I learned about myself that was causing me anguish for 7 years. And once I learned that, I'm not going to get into details of it, but once I learned that, that's when I said, okay, moving forward, this cannot happen. Because a lot of times we get so pent up over past trauma or past behaviors, and it just blows up into something worse.
Right. And Manny, I'm gonna stop you right there because you set up something so on point, and I'm happy you did. The reason why I asked you that question, how does it make you feel when someone say that to you? Because there are so many men out there, right, that had other people say like, hey, maybe you should consider therapy. And like you said before, like, I'll look at that person like that. Because there are a lot of men who felt and and view some things the same way as you did. So I needed them to hear that, hey, it's not just you feeling this way. And maybe the people that saying this to you, they care about you, but you need to come from a different level and try to hear. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Not hear, because we hear all the time. Listen to what is being said to us, but then you came to a place where now you are receptive of it. And I appreciate you being receptive, because, you know, us as human beings, we come a long way, because we are just challenging sometimes. But, you know,
Right.
again, I just want to stress the point that men, you're not by yourself in those thoughts. You're not by yourself in trying to figure out, is they trying to play me or they're trying to set me up? A
Well,
lot of
no, not
crazy
not at
thoughts.
all, because
A lot
you
of
have
crazy,
to.
but right, but I'm
Right.
just saying, a lot of crazy thoughts go through people's head, and that's just general. And I think that's normal. But when you come to the sense to say, I need it and I want to go, that part is everything. Now, we're just going to say, Manny.
And I wanted to make something very clear here, because you said something that I wanted to address as well. When you go to therapy, let's make something clear. And I'm kind of going to the inner workings of this. Your conversations are protected. In other words, if you talk to that therapist and that therapist let out any information pertaining to you, or let alone say your name, that therapist could be yanked, license could be yanked, and that could lead into other issues legally. So just understand that you are protected in the sense of the United States government and the federal government, or if they're the same thing. But yeah, you're protected in that sense, because they're here to help you, not to exploit you. And I think that's something we need to understand, because a lot of therapists get a bad rap because they think they're there to exploit them, but no, they're there to help them. Now, they may unearth some things that you may not ready to hear at that moment, but they're there to help you, not exploit you. Now, if you go to your friends sometimes and you say whatever, and then they come back and use it against you, that's exploiting, not helping. That's exploiting.
Right.
When you go to a therapist, they're there to help. They're legally trained and they're medically trained to help. Just want to point that out.
Right. And this is people that going about, you know, when you're trying to speak, sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than to talk to the ones that you're close with. Because why do you think sometimes, like when we're traveling, or even like when we're doing something and you see a stranger and you were like, you know, my uncle did such and such, and people be looking at you to, no, why is she telling me this? Because sometimes, like I said, it feels good to speak to a stranger than someone you know. So you look at it in the aspect like that, you know, you want to share certain things. And I think that's just even healthy. You know, you want to share certain things with the people that you love and share certain things with your therapist. You want to keep certain things in confidentiality, and I get it. So again, it's all about protecting your peace. And that's one of the last things I wanted to touch base on. But why did you leave that last? I left that last intentionally because a lot of times, you know, we lean on other people to be our peace. But honestly, home is here, right? Home is here. Oh, it's so much. Oh my God, it's so much going on in here. But you,
it's a dark place.
Oh my gosh, and you can get stuck in it. This is just, your mind is so powerful. I'm not going to even go there, but the mind is very powerful. So getting this to be home first, it just needs, hey, I might need to hear somebody else's opinion than mine. Because obviously hearing mine is getting me stuck at a certain place I can't move on to. So being treating yourself here, you know, it starts with, you know, you giving yourself compassion, men. I think the way you speak to yourself is very important. How you handle situations tell you a lot about yourself too. So these are just some things that maybe you might just want to evaluate, you know, instead of, and I'm just throwing out an example. I know sometimes men, you know, you hear us women, we talk, yeah, my God, she nagging, right? And she's been saying the same thing over to you for the past 2 months. I'm going to say this. Maybe when she's talking on that particular whatever she that particular thing, right? Maybe you should just listen to what she is saying just at that moment. Try to embody it and try to understand from her level perspective. This is going back to what I said in the beginning. You're saying, well, Kalima, why is this my peace? Is that peace because you're not going to look at it as nagging. You're going to look at it, hey, my woman is expressing something to me. Let me do something about it. That is everything. Because if you can change that nagging to, look at this, hear what she's saying, you'll be at peace with yourself. And then she will be more happy with you because now you're taking into consideration something that she said. So, Manny, I'm going to give it back to you. What do you have to say about that?
Excuse me. So, one thing I always tell guys is look at the situation that you're in and honestly ask a real assessment of yourself of, am I doing anything that causes anguish to others? Is my behavior causing this or that? Because I understand that a lot of people have the stigma still of going to therapy thinking that it's not really there to help. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to find the right therapist for you. After a couple tries with me, I found the right one and I'm sticking with her. And I'm not going to give her name because, one, I don't think she likes the publicity like that, let alone she's old school. But never mind that part. I think for me is I just look at it from a standpoint of, is your behavior affecting others?
Right.
And if your behavior is affecting others and people kind of mention that to you, then that's something you may need to take up and really understand certain things.
Right.
So that's all I got to say.
Right. And what I was doing, right, if you if you go to your Google, right, and you type in Black Therapist Directory, there are some links that come up that can guide you, because I also understand too that sometimes you want to connect with people that looks like you. And they're out there and they're available, and for the small town people, I know sometimes it's challenging, but maybe you might be able to consider, if you need the help that you want and need. Because of the pandemic, it is amazing how some offices, they are opening to like telehealth. When I say telehealth, that you can actually do the session virtually in that state, as long as that provider is licensed in that state, they can do that. So for, again, small town people, if you feel like, oh, don't look like me here, reach out within that state, because always in the bigger city, there's always people there that can assist and help you. So I hope you guys found this episode helpful. I hope that our Black men is taking this into consideration, that yes, we are here for you. We love you. We want to nurture you. We care about you, but we also too want you to put input yourself to making you become a little bit better, and you not carrying the weight on your word. You definitely need to know these type of practices that can help you cope, as you go out there and deal with the world. So before we leave, Manny, is anything else that you would like to add on?
Make sure you take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of your soul, and take care of your peace, because you're only given one. So make sure you take care of those on a regular basis.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Manny. I would like to tell you guys, thank you for tuning in here at 11 a.m. every Saturday with us. Continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat Podcast here on YouTube, IGTV, Spotify, Apple, and all those other great platforms. Every Saturday here at 11 a.m. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend. And we will see you next Saturday at 11 a.m.
Take care, y'all.
Lady K.